brash, tough, relentless. She is all that and more, and America loves her.
You sound like a fool.
I don't, because I know what I'm saying.
Are you trying to sound like a fool? You sound like a fool.
I'm trying to sound what it is.
You sound like a fool.
That's your opinion.
No, my opinion's the only one that counts.
Nearly everyone in the United States knows Judge Judy as America's favorite tough-talking TV judge. While she's known for her strong attitude in the courtroom, her personal life is equally filled with a lot of drama, especially in her marriage with Jerry Sheindlin. Jerry has always been an interesting celebrity in his own right, but new shocking details about him and his relationship with Judy have recently surfaced, and fans everywhere can't stop asking questions. What's going on with Jerry, and is this new development related to Judy in any way? Keep watching to find out how Judge Judy and Jerry Sheindlin met. There is no doubt that Judge Judy, whose full name is Judith Susan Sheindlin, is one of the most famous television personalities in the world. Known for her sharp wit, strong sense of justice, and no-nonsense approach, she is a household name, but behind her success is a love story that not many of her fans know about. This love story began many decades ago when she met Jerry Sheindlin, the man who would become her second husband. The year was 1976. Judith had recently gone through a divorce from her first husband, Ronald Levy. She had married Ronald in 1964 when she was in her early 20s, and they had 2 children together, Jamie and Adam. But after about 12 years of marriage, they decided to part ways. Judith was a single mother at the time and was busy working as a prosecutor in New York's family court system. It was a demanding job, but she was determined to balance her career and her family life. It was around this time that she met Gerald Sheindlin, who was popularly referred to as Jerry Sheindlin. Jerry Sheindlin was also a lawyer and later became a judge. In 1976, he was already practicing law in New York City. Jerry was known for his intelligence, humor, and charm. He was a confident and charismatic man who had a way with words. Like Judith, he was divorced and had 3 children from his previous marriage. The 2 of them met in a bar one evening. It was not a planned meeting, but rather a chance encounter. The kind of moment that seems ordinary at the time, but ends up changing your life forever. Judith and Jerry were introduced by a mutual friend. It was not love at first sight, but there was an instant connection. The atmosphere in the bar was lively, and the 2 began talking. Their conversation flowed easily, as they discovered they had a lot in common. Both were passionate about the law, enjoyed intellectual discussions, and had strong personalities. They were also at similar stages in life, both juggling careers and parenting. Jerry was immediately drawn to Judith's sharp mind and quick wit. She was confident, articulate, and had a presence that commanded attention. Judith, on the other hand, was intrigued by Jerry's charm and humor. He was funny and had a way of making her laugh, which she appreciated after the challenges she had faced as a single mother and a professional woman in a male-dominated field. Their first meeting lasted for hours as they talked and got to know each other. Jerry later said that he was impressed by Judith's ability to hold her own in a conversation. She was opinionated and not afraid to speak her mind, which he found refreshing. Judith appreciated that Jerry respected her opinions and was not intimidated by her strong personality. There was mutual respect between them from the very beginning, which laid the foundation for their relationship. After that first meeting, things changed. Judith and Jerry began dating. Their relationship moved quickly because they both knew what they wanted. They were mature adults with clear goals and priorities, and they were not interested in playing games. Jerry admired Judith's determination and work ethic, while Judith was drawn to Jerry's warmth and sense of humor. They supported each other in their careers and personal lives, forming a partnership that would stand the test of time. In 1977, just a year after they met, Judith and Jerry decided to get married. Their wedding was a small and simple affair, attended by close family and friends. It was a celebration of their love and commitment to each other. At this point, they became a blended family, with Judith's 2 children and Jerry's 3 children coming together under one roof. This was not always easy, as blending families can be challenging, but Judith and Jerry worked hard to create a loving and supportive home for their children. Judith later said that marrying Jerry was one of the best decisions she ever made. He was not only her husband, but also her partner and best friend. They shared a deep bond that was built on trust, respect, and mutual admiration. Jerry supported Judith as she continued to advance in her career, eventually becoming a judge in the family court system. He was her biggest cheerleader, always encouraging her to pursue her dreams. As with every other couple, Judy and Jerry's marriage was not without its challenges. In fact, their marital issues were so intense that it even affected who they were as individuals. Stay tuned to find out what challenges they faced. Jerry and Judy's marital issues. Apart from being popular for their sharp wit and legal acumen, Jerry and Judy are also known for having one of the most enduring relationships in the public eye. But like every couple, their marriage faced its share of ups and downs. From the outside, their relationship seemed ideal. They both had thriving careers, shared a love for the law, and appeared to have a deep connection. But behind the scenes, life was not always easy. Both of them were strong-willed individuals, which sometimes led to clashes. They had different ways of handling emotions and conflicts, and this sometimes made their disagreements more intense. One of the biggest challenges in their marriage came from their demanding careers. Judy was building her reputation as a no-nonsense family court judge, while Jerry was also deeply committed to his work as an attorney and later as a judge. The long hours and intense workload left them with little time to nurture their relationship. Their problems reached a breaking point in the early 1990s. In 1990, Judy faced a deeply personal and emotional time when her father, Murray Blum, passed away. She was incredibly close to her father, and his death left her heartbroken. Judy expected Jerry to provide emotional support during this challenging time, but Jerry's way of dealing with emotions was different. Instead of being the pillar of strength Judy hoped for, he seemed distant and unable to offer the comfort she needed. This created a huge rift between them, as Judy felt unsupported during one of the hardest periods of her life. Their differences in handling stress and emotions became even more apparent as time went on. Judy was vocal about her frustrations and expectations, while Jerry often retreated, avoiding confrontations. This dynamic caused more misunderstandings and made it harder for them to resolve their issues. Their strong personalities, which initially brought them together, now seemed to be pushing them apart. In 1990, after 13 years of marriage, things became so tense that they decided to divorce. For many couples, divorce marks the end of a relationship, but for Jerry and Judy, it was more like hitting the pause button. The divorce gave them time to reflect on their relationship and what they truly wanted. Jerry later admitted that he never stopped loving Judy, even during their separation. Their time apart made them realize how much they meant to each other. Despite their differences, they shared a deep bond that could not be ignored. Just a year later, in 1991, Jerry and Judy decided to remarry. This decision surprised many people, but it showed their commitment to each other and their willingness to work through their challenges. After their remarriage, Jerry and Judy made a conscious effort to address the issues that had caused problems in the past. They learned to communicate better and to appreciate each other's strengths and differences. Judy once said in an interview that she learned to accept Jerry for who he is, rather than trying to change him.
Other than making certain that no one else defines who you are, a husband, a parent, a group.
Similarly, Jerry learned to be more present and supportive, especially during difficult times. As expected, these ups and downs in their marriage had a huge impact on Judy's career. Let's find out how. The effect of Judge Judy's marriage on her career. Judy and Jerry's marriage influenced her decisions, her growth, and her ability to balance personal and professional life. As we have already established in this video, at the time they got married, Judy was already a practicing lawyer in family court. Her work required her to deal with difficult cases involving families and children. It was emotionally draining, and she needed a strong support system at home. Jerry, who was also a judge, understood the demands of her work. This shared understanding created a unique bond between them. They both knew what it was like to carry the weight of making important decisions in courtrooms. In the early years of their marriage, Judy was determined to advance her career. She worked hard, often spending long hours in court and preparing cases. Jerry, who had his own career ambitions, was supportive, but also focused on his own goals. This dynamic sometimes created tension. Judy was outspoken and driven, while Jerry had a more laid-back personality. Their differences occasionally clashed, but they also complemented each other in many ways. Jerry's calm demeanor often helped Judy relax during stressful times. By the late 1980s, Judy's career began to take off. She was appointed as a judge in the New York family court system in 1982. Her sharp wit and no-nonsense approach quickly earned her respect and recognition. She became known for her ability to cut through complicated cases and deliver fair judgments. At home, Jerry continued to be a steady presence, but their relationship was not always smooth. The pressures of work and personal life sometimes created a rift between them. Then the divorce happened. The divorce was a difficult time for Judy. She was devastated, but also determined to keep moving forward. Despite the emotional turmoil, she continued to excel in her career. In fact, some people believe that the challenges she faced in her personal life made her even more focused on her work. Judy's ability to channel her emotions into her career helped her achieve even greater success during this period. After they remarried, Jerry became one of her biggest supporters, often encouraging her to take on new opportunities. When Judy was approached to star in her own television show, Jerry's encouragement played a key role in her decision. In 1996, Judge Judy premiered on television, and it quickly became a massive hit. The show's success turned Judy into a household name, and Jerry was there by her side, cheering her on. Jerry's support during this time was very important. The demands of being a television personality were different from the demands of being a family court judge. Judy had to adjust to being in the public eye, and Jerry's understanding and patience helped her navigate this new phase of her career. Judy has spoken in interviews about how much Jerry's belief in her meant during this time. That's not all. Their marriage also influenced the way Judy approached her work on television. The lessons she learned in her personal life, such as the importance of communication and compromise, often appeared in her rulings on the show. She would draw from her own experiences to offer advice to the people appearing before her. Viewers appreciated her honesty and relatability, which contributed to the show's popularity. Apart from emotional support, Jerry also offered practical advice. As a judge himself, he understood the legal world and often shared his insights with Judy. Throughout the years, their marriage continued to play a huge role in Judy's career. The balance they achieved in their relationship allowed her to take on new challenges and continue growing professionally. Judy has often said that having Jerry by her side made it easier for her to handle the pressures of fame and success. His unwavering support gave her the confidence to keep pushing boundaries and achieving her goals. For years, people have been wondering about the real story behind Princess Diana's death. The strange circumstances surrounding her passing have left fans around the world asking questions that remained unanswered until now.
The princess, who spent her life in the relentless glare of the public eye, died in a speeding car in Paris, apparently trying to evade pursuing photographers.
Princess Diana's loyal butler, Paul Burrell, has finally come forward with stunning revelations about her private life. These revelations not only shed light on Diana's personal world, but also confirm some of the suspicions about the circumstances of her death. In this video, we'll be talking about these shocking revelations. What exactly did Paul reveal? Has his revelations changed the way the world views Princess Diana and her legacy? Let's get started. The fateful night of Princess Diana's death. Before we get into what Paul had to say about Princess Diana after she died, we need to first know how she died, and if the reason for her death was why Paul broke his silence in the first place. Everyone who knew Princess Diana, personally or not, loved her.
She was the most loved member of the royal family, if she still is even a member of the royal family. She's the one that I think we all connected with.
She was an incredible princess whose beauty and sweet personality made people all around the world fans of the crown. But one fateful day, everything changed. On the night of August 31st, 1997, something terrible happened that many people will never forget. Princess Diana, a woman loved by millions around the world for her kindness and work for good causes, died in a car crash in Paris. She was only 36 years old.
The crash in a Paris tunnel that killed Princess Diana Dodi Al-Fayed, and their driver, Henri Paul, was the fault of the driver, drunk and speeding away from the chasing paparazzi.
This event happened when she was trying to escape from photographers who were following her. Princess Diana was with her boyfriend, Dodi Fayed, at the time. Dodi was the son of a very rich man named Mohammed Al-Fayed. The couple had spent the evening together and were trying to get away from all the attention that surrounded them. That night, Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed had been at the Ritz Hotel in Paris. The Ritz was a famous hotel, and it was owned by Dodi's father. Diana and Dodi had been dating for a while, and many people were very interested in their relationship. The media and photographers, known as the paparazzi, were always trying to take pictures of them. Earlier that day, they had enjoyed some time together on a boat, relaxing on the French Riviera. But when they returned to Paris, they were once again followed by the paparazzi. This constant attention from photographers made their lives difficult. In the evening of August 30th, Diana and Dodi had dinner at a fancy restaurant inside the Ritz Hotel. After their meal, they decided it was time to leave. But they knew that many photographers were waiting for them outside the front entrance of the hotel. To avoid them, they made the choice to leave through the back door instead of the front. They hoped this would help them get away without being followed. Despite their efforts, the paparazzi found out about their plan and followed them as soon as they left. Diana and Dodi got into a black Mercedes-Benz car. The driver of the car was a man named Henri Paul. Henri Paul worked at the Ritz Hotel, and he was the one driving them that night. There was also a bodyguard in the car with them named Trevor Reese Jones. Henri Paul was driving the car because they wanted to leave quickly and escape from the photographers. The group hoped to reach Dodi's apartment, which was not far from the hotel. They thought that if they could get there fast, they could avoid the paparazzi and have some peace. But the photographers did not give up. They followed the car on motorcycles and in other cars, determined to get pictures of Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed. As the car sped through the streets of Paris, Henri Paul tried to lose the photographers by driving faster and taking different routes. The situation became dangerous as the car was moving very quickly through the city. They eventually entered a tunnel called the Pont de l'Alma Tunnel. This is where things took a turn for the worst. In the tunnel, Henri Paul lost control of the car. The car crashed into a pillar inside the tunnel at high speed. The impact of the crash was devastating. The front of the car was crushed, and the people inside were seriously hurt. When emergency services arrived, they tried to help everyone involved.
2 phone calls came early on and told me that there had been an accident, and clearly I needed to get to the hospital quickly.
Sadly, Dodi Fayed and Henri Paul were pronounced dead at the scene. Princess Diana was still alive but in critical condition. She was rushed to a nearby hospital where doctors did everything they could to save her. Despite their efforts, Princess Diana died a few hours later from her injuries. The only person who survived the crash was the bodyguard, Trevor Reese Jones, though he was badly hurt as well. The news of Princess Diana's death spread quickly, and people all over the world were shocked and heartbroken.
The Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident, and that her partner, Dodi Fayed, has also been killed. They were apparently being pursued by paparazzi on 2 motorcycles.
Many could not believe that someone as beloved as Diana could be gone so suddenly. Diana was laid to rest at her family's estate, Althorpe, in Northamptonshire, England. Her grave is located on a small island in the middle of a lake. Her family wanted this place to be a peaceful resting place, away from the public eye. Even though Diana was no longer with them, her legacy lived on. Her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, have continued her charitable work in many ways, carrying on the causes that were important to their mother. Princess Diana's death was a tragic and sudden event that changed many lives. It showed the dangers of the intense media attention that surrounded her life, as well as the impact she had on so many people. Even today, many years later, people still remember Princess Diana with love and respect. Since her death, there have been tons of rumors of what really happened in that tunnel, but none of these rumors were confirmed. This meant that nobody knew what exactly happened that fateful night. Well, That is until recently when Diana's butler himself, Paul Burnell, came out with some truths about the princess's private life. But what exactly did Paul have to say? Let's find out. Conspiracy theories about Diana's death and Paul's shocking revelations. After Princess Diana died, at first, the crash was seen as a tragic accident caused by the driver, who had been drinking, and the paparazzi who were chasing the car. But over time, some people began to believe that there might be more to the story. They wondered if the crash had been planned on purpose, and some even thought that people in powerful positions, possibly connected to the royal family, might have been involved. One of the reasons that these conspiracy theories started was because of a letter that was written by Princess Diana herself. This letter, which became very famous later on, was written by Diana in 1995, about 2 years before her death.
The bombshell letter is said to have been written by Princess Diana herself just 2 years before her tragic death.
Diana alleged that her husband, Prince Charles, was planning to stage a car crash.
In the letter, Diana expressed her fears that something bad might happen to her. She wrote that she believed that there were people who wanted to get rid of her, and she even mentioned that she thought they might try to cause her to have a car accident. When this letter became public, many people were very shocked. They began to wonder if Diana's death had been more than just an accident. Despite these rumors, the official investigations into Diana's death concluded that the crash was just a tragic accident. The first investigation was conducted by the French authorities. They looked into what happened that night and found that the driver of the car, Henri Paul, had been drinking alcohol and was driving too fast. They also noted that the paparazzi were chasing the car, which put pressure on Henri Paul to drive even faster. The French investigation concluded that these factors led to the crash and that it was not planned. But the conspiracy theories did not go away. In fact, they seemed to grow stronger over time. Many people were not satisfied with the explanation that the crash was an accident. They continued to believe that there might have been more to the story. In response to these concerns, another investigation was launched in the United Kingdom. This investigation was called Operation Paget. It was led by the British police, and it looked into all the different conspiracy theories that had been circulating since Diana's death. Operation Paget began in 2004, about 7 years after the crash.
The probe was launched by the British Metropolitan Police in 2004 as part of the investigation into the various conspiracy theories surrounding Diana's death in 1997.
The investigation was very thorough and took several years to complete. The goal of Operation Paget was to determine whether there was any truth to the conspiracy theories, or if the crash had truly been an accident. As part of the investigation, the police looked at all the evidence, including Diana's letter, the events leading up to the crash, and the actions of everyone involved. In 2006, the findings of Operation Paget were released. The investigation concluded that there was no evidence to support the conspiracy theories. Like the French investigation, Operation Paget found that the crash was caused by the driver, Henri Paul, who had been drinking and was driving too fast. The report also mentioned the role of the paparazzi, who were chasing the car and making the situation even more dangerous. Operation Paget did not find any evidence of a plan to murder Princess Diana, and it stated that the crash was a tragic accident. Despite the conclusions of Operation Paget, some people continued to believe in the conspiracy theories. They pointed to Diana's letter as evidence that she knew something bad was going to happen to her. They also raised questions about other aspects of the crash, such as the actions of the French authorities and the response of the emergency services. For example, some people wondered why it took so long for Diana to be taken to the hospital after the crash. Others questioned the role of the British intelligence services and whether they might have been involved in some way. That's where Diana's butler, Paul Burnell, came in. Princess Diana's life was always in the spotlight, but there were many things about her that the public didn't know. After her tragic death in 1997, more details about her private life started to come out. One of the people who shared many of these details was her former butler, Paul Burrell. He worked for Diana for many years and was very close to her. His revelations about her private life surprised many people and gave a deeper understanding of who Diana was behind the scenes. These stories also showed the challenges she faced and the kind of person she was when she was not in front of the cameras. Paul Burrell began working for the royal family in the 1980s. At first, he worked for Queen Elizabeth II, but later, in 1987, he started working for Princess Diana. He became one of her closest and most trusted staff members. Diana once called him her rock, which showed how much she relied on him. Paul saw many of the private moments in Diana's life, and he was there for her during some of her most difficult times. He was by her side as she navigated her marriage, her role as a mother, and her very public life. One of the key revelations Paul made about Diana's private life was about how lonely she often felt. Even though Diana was one of the most famous women in the world, she sometimes felt isolated and alone. Paul talked about how Diana would often confide in him about her feelings of sadness and loneliness. She felt that she couldn't always trust the people around her, and this made her life very difficult. He also revealed that this loneliness somehow managed to make her develop an eating disorder called bulimia. Diana's struggles were not just about her personal relationships, but also about the pressures of living such a public life. Things don't end there. Another major aspect of Diana's private life that Paul Burrell revealed was her struggle with her marriage to Prince Charles. Diana and Charles got married in 1981, and their wedding was watched by millions of people around the world.
It's 34 years now since a young woman called Diana Spencer married her prince. It was a day of memorable images, of a young couple emerging as man and wife from St. Paul's Cathedral.
However, behind the scenes, their marriage was not as perfect as it seemed. Paul shared details about how difficult things were for Diana in her marriage. She knew that Prince Charles had a close relationship with another woman, Camilla Parker Bowles, and this caused her a lot of pain. Diana once famously said in an interview that there were 3 of us in this marriage, referring to Charles, Camilla, and herself. Paul's revelations gave even more insight into how deeply this situation affected Diana. Diana's battle with mental health issues was another part of her private life that Paul spoke about. Diana struggled with bulimia, a serious eating disorder, for many years. This was something that she had to deal with in secret, even while carrying out her royal duties and maintaining her public image. Paul shared how Diana would sometimes use food as a way to cope with the stress and pressure of her life. She also had periods of deep sadness, and at times, she felt overwhelmed by everything that was happening around her. Paul's stories highlighted the emotional difficulties Diana faced, even though she always tried to put on a brave face for the public. Despite these struggles, Paul also talked about how much Diana cared about other people. She had a deep sense of compassion and empathy, and she was always looking for ways to help those who were less fortunate. Paul shared stories about how Diana would go out of her way to visit people who were sick or in need. She often did these things without any cameras or publicity because she genuinely wanted to make a difference. One of the most famous examples of this was when Diana visited patients with HIV and AIDS during a time when there was a lot of fear and stigma surrounding the disease. Paul revealed that these visits were not just for show. Diana truly cared about the people she was helping, and she wanted to show them that they were not alone. Apart from her compassion, Paul also spoke about Diana's strength and determination. Even though she faced many challenges, she was always determined to stand up for herself and for what she believed in. Paul shared how Diana worked hard to create her own path, especially after her separation from Prince Charles. She wanted to be her own person and to have her own voice, even within the constraints of the royal family. This was not always easy, but Diana was determined to make a difference in the world. Paul admired this quality in her, and he often spoke about how strong she was, even when things were very tough.
She was so iconic and so incredible and such a beautiful spirit. I still look towards that, even today.
Diana's role as a mother was another important part of her private life that Paul shared. Diana had 2 sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, and she was very dedicated to them. Paul talked about how much Diana loved her sons and how she always tried to protect them from the pressures of royal life. She wanted them to have as normal a childhood as possible, despite the fact that they were growing up in the public eye. Diana took her role as a mother very seriously, and Paul shared many stories about the lengths she would go to in order to spend time with her boys and make sure they were happy. One of the most touching stories Paul shared was about how Diana would sneak out of the palace to spend time with her sons. Even though she had a very busy schedule and was constantly in the public eye, Diana always made time for William and Harry. Paul would help her plan secret trips so that she could take them out for a day without being followed by the press. These moments were very special to Diana, and they showed how much she valued her role as a mother above everything else. After Diana's death in 1997, Paul Burrell wrote a book called A Royal Duty, in which he shared many of these stories about her private life. The book caused a lot of controversy when it was released in 2003. Some people felt that Paul should not have shared such personal details about Diana, while others appreciated the insight it provided into who she really was. Paul defended his decision to write the book by saying that he wanted people to know the truth about Diana's life and the challenges she faced. He believed that by sharing these stories, he was honoring her memory and helping people understand the real person behind the public image. In the book, Paul also shared details about the time after Diana's death. He talked about how difficult it was for him to cope with the loss of someone he had been so close to. He also shared how he felt that he had a responsibility to protect Diana's memory and ensure that the truth about her life was not forgotten. Paul's revelations gave the world a deeper understanding of the woman who was often called the People's Princess. His stories showed that even though Diana was a global icon, she was also a human being who faced many of the same struggles as everyone else. Paul's decision to speak out about Diana's private life also showed the complicated relationship between the royal family and the people who worked for them. After the book was published, there was a lot of debate about whether Paul had betrayed Diana's trust by sharing these details. Some members of the royal family were not happy with the book, and there were even legal issues surrounding some of the things Paul had revealed. However, Paul insisted that he had written the book out of love and respect for Diana, and that he wanted to make sure her true story was told. Despite his good intentions, not everyone received Paul's revelations very well. Why is this the case? And what was the exact problem the public had with Paul breaking his silence? Let's get into it. How Paul's revelations affected Diana's legacy. Paul Burrell's decision to share details about Princess Diana's life and death caused a lot of talk among the public and the media. Paul was more than just a butler. He was someone very close to Diana. He spent years with her and saw many parts of her life up close. Because of this, many people believed that what he had to say was important and truthful. Some people thought Paul was being honest, and they appreciated his stories. They saw his words as a way to honor Diana's memory by telling the truth. Well, what do you think about Judge Judy's relationship with her husband, Jerry Sheindlin? Leave your opinions in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.